Is this the best bang for buck touring rig that you can travel in Australia now that the market is flooded with a lot of options and a lot of big trucks? Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Pimp My Ride. So I'll start with the exterior of the car. I'll do the bar work, the wheels, all the bits and pieces on the outside, move to the inside, and then we'll go through the suspension and how we managed to do that GCM upgrade post-registration. And also how we keep the dogs safe and what we do with them in the car. So one of the questions we get asked a lot, is this car a 200 series or a 300 series? It is a 2018 200 series VX Land Cruiser. We've just changed a whole heap of stuff on the front end, and the headlights from PVS, they make it look like a 300 series, and I think they look sick. So up the front, first thing, looks awesome, is the off-road animal bull bar. Now I've color coded this and the rear bar to match the same 200 series Land Cruiser paint. We've also done the same thing on the grille, but we've given it a couple of satin clear finishes on there just to give it a bit of a two-tone staggered look, and it makes the grille really pop in the sun with that blue metallic. We've got the KC Highlights Gravity 06 spotlights and also the light bar from Off-Road Animal built into the bar there. Got the factory fog lights relocated into the mesh side panels, as well as the Warn VR Evo 12 winch in the front. It's the biggest winch that we could get to make. We had to modify a few bits and pieces when fitting that, just in the bracketry, but it fits and it works, and it's the biggest one that we found that we could fit in the 200 series. We've also got a Factor 55 winch hook on there and the flip up number plate, so we can still use that winch when we need to. So we just love the blacked out look on the front of the car, and the headlights just make it pop. So that's the reason we've done this whole front end change, and we've carried that around to the rear as well. So I'll show you that. So moving from the front to the back, we've got the pretty common GME 2.1 Shorty whip. We went with the Shorty on the little K-on mirror mounted or guard mounted bracket, just because I liked it out of the way, and it's a lot easier than having a big whip in front of the vehicle and blocking the passenger. We've also got the Clearview Next Gen mirrors. They're fantastic. We use them every single day for towing. So for wheels and tyres, we got Method 305 NVs in an 18x9 plus 25. They stick out about 5mm of sidewall poke with a 285/70 18-inch Nitto ridge grapplers. We've got custom mud flaps front and rear just to cover all that and protect the caravan a little bit. And that's something you got to think about with your wheels and tyres, is that extra load rating when you're doing a GVM or GCM upgrade. So we've got some weather shields on the side, and we absolutely love them for the dogs. We can leave the window cracked just that little bit when it's raining, or we go into the shops to give them a little bit of airflow. Up the top, we've got a Yakima platform rack, which was on the car when we purchased it. And in addition to that, I've added a custom-made boat loader to the roof to take our little 3.7 Quintrex Explorer around the country. I've also done a video on that if you're interested. I'll put it up here. So the whole vehicle front to back is wrapped in Bush Wraps PPF. We've got the die cut kit for the sides of the vehicle and the rear quarters, and we also got a tyre roll basically to cover the whole bonnet, just because it's out in the elements and exposed the entire time. It has been fantastic for us so far. We do have some nicks, bumps, bruises and scrapes on the car. This is exactly like that. Can you get off, please? Oh, you're gonna come and join me in the video.
So tell me about this sexy rear end.
Yeah, well.
Who made it? Where'd it come from?
The cruiser company made it.
Yep.
Yep.
Why is it the same colour as the car? Well, not really at the moment, it's feral.
Well, we painted it. We colour matched it to suit the car. Same as the front bar.
We did it at home too.
Yeah, we did it at home. Did the install on this, and it is a little bit of a pain in the ass. So we've got a video on that if you wanted to check it out. If you're looking at one of these, have a good watch of it. It's not too hard to do yourself if you're pretty handy, but there are some things that you need to know.
Oh yeah, it was a bit testing, but it was 2 solid days of fun.
Yeah, fun. Fun. But the good thing about this rear bar, it's really easy to use. It has exactly what we need with the Jerry's in the spare. And also it's got the loops on the side. Now, we didn't know if we'd use them, but they've been so handy as little steps to get up to the rack, to get underneath the boat, to undo the boat. We also tie the dogs off to them when they're outside of the car, so I think they're pretty worth it. Yeah,
I think they also just add that extra layer of protection too down the side of your car, because they do stick out pretty much the same width of the front bar. I actually think it ties in really well with the design of the off-road animal front bar.
Yeah, it looks fantastic together with the front bar. So for the back of the car, we've got a drawer system from Loaded Drawers. We also opted for the 85 litre Bushman in that configuration because I just prefer the uprights over the drop downs. It's a lot easier for myself to use and for Britt to use. We don't need a massive fridge in the car because we've got the caravan. So the 85 litre upright, it's nice and light and it just suits us perfectly. So this drawer system's got your standard big drawer and big table. Now this is basically my shed. This is where I live when I'm not inside the caravan. I've got all my tools in the back here and I use this as a big workbench. So it's super handy for anything from cleaning fishing rods to maintaining the vehicle or just the bits and bobs that we do while we're on the road. So I don't know if you can see it, but in the back there, we've got a K-on cargo barrier and a pet protector. So we've run that across the back just to stop anything that's in the back of the car flying into the front if we ever had an accident and hitting the dogs or coming into that passenger compartment. We've got the little shelf at the top too, which is super handy for all those lightweight things. I keep all my rags up there, towels, small bits of tubing and things like that, just to keep them neat and out of the way. And I don't generally get to them that often. So it's a perfect place to hide them, up out of your view. Keeps it neat and tidy. To power everything in the rear, I've got the battery in the front of the engine bay and it runs down to the back to the Anderson plugs, the USB outlets, and it also runs the ARB twin compressor that's mounted in the side wing panel here. And I've got the outlet on the back of the drawer system here with the on-off switch. And then I keep all the accessories for the compressor, the hose and the pump and accessories in this little cavity here, which is really handy on the back of the 200 series tailgate. And it's also a fantastic workbench or a seat. We don't have an inverter in this car and we didn't really want to put one in because it's a lot of extra weight and we weren't going to use it that much having the caravan. So what we've opted for is a little portable unit and it's called a Blue Eddy Elite 100 V2 and it's been the perfect little device that we can travel with. So we can use this in the car and we can charge all of our phones, drones, cameras, all the bits and pieces, but it's also got an inverter built in as well. So we can run the air fryer, we can cook on induction cooktops while we're away, and it charges off solar as well. So it's absolutely brilliant. So instead of replacing the battery with a bigger unit, upgrading all the cables and the hardware from the front to the back and getting an inverter hardwired in the back here, we just decided to go with something a little bit more portable, and something like this unit just made so much more sense for us. Like this little unit we often take out on the water with us as well in the boat because we take drones, we got the camera, we got all our GoPros and my phone too. Like I use Navionics on my phone and that chews the battery in just a few hours. So if we're going out fishing or checking out wildlife for a whole day, we really need a unit like this to be able to just throw in the boat and make sure that all our gear stays charged and we're not left stranded out there. But the other thing is I've also wired in a plug in the boat so I can actually run my sounder off this unit as well. So that's a pretty cool backup just in case we ever get into trouble with that. And we also take this thing to our mate's place sometimes if we're going out for a campfire or something like that. You know, we might be feeling a little bit lazy and just want to go out, have a beer and chill out with them. Just being able to grab this unit or having it in the car, throwing in the air fryer, taking it out and cooking up a pie or some chicken tenders or something like that. It just makes it so much easier. It's so simple and so portable. You don't have to take all the utensils, all the pots and pans, all the cooking gear and all that stuff just to cook up a simple meal around a campfire. So we keep this thing in the car pretty much full time. It lives in the back here, all behind the seat. And like I've got this charging point here that runs from the solar panel on top of the car. So I can just unplug that from the charger in the front, plug the Blue Eddy unit straight into that. So this thing charges all day and it's just ready to go whenever we need it. So if we need to pull up somewhere, charge something, if a mate's phone goes flat, whatever the situation, we can just grab this unit out, plug it in air fryer and cook if we run out of batteries in the caravan or something like that. It's just a really handy peace of mind that you can take it anywhere with you and it's always ready to go. All right, interior. Comes with 2 French Bulldogs and a Staffy. So it's very simple, very basic. It's a VX interior, which we absolutely loved. The leather seats and door cards, they look fantastic. We haven't done too many upgrades on the inside, mainly just to keep it clean. So we've gone with the black duck seat covers on the front and the rear seat, knowing that we were going to take the dogs. We've also gone for the mud grabber floor mats. Now the reason we went with the mud grabber floor mats over the sand grabbers, which we had in the 79, is the bottom of the sand grabbers, they have a layer of foam, and I just don't like that when I'm cleaning it. It gets wet and it just takes forever to dry. So the mud grabbers are plastic top and bottom, and they've worked and been through hell. So we absolutely rate these mud grabbers, and I will get them again. So a few other little modifications we've done. We've got a scan gauge 3 mounted on the windscreen, which is perfect. That keeps an eye on absolutely everything, and we've needed that to clear codes a few times, so that's well worth getting just to get you out of trouble and make sure the car doesn't go into limp mode. We've got a couple of mounts here on the dashboard, which are brilliant because I hate drilling holes into any kind of dashboard. We've got one on this side for the XRS Connect UHF radio, and one on this side that I've mounted a quad lock swivel mount to for my phone that also charges it. So we also opted for the Safety Dave rear vision camera reversing mirror. Now this thing is great because I don't like stuff on the dashboard or suction cap to the windscreen. So this acts as a reversing camera screen when I've got the caravan hooked on. Then also when I don't have it hooked on and the screen's turned off, it reflects like a normal mirror and you can drive the car without removing that unit out of the car. So the back seat is the dog's quarters. This is where they live. So we've covered the back seats in the black duck seat covers as well. We also have a little dog hammock in here. It's really, really handy. It's easy to clean. We just hook it up to the handle here on some little brackets, and it just keeps them secure in the back seat when they don't rip holes in the front of it. So we're due for a new one of those. So I've also got a little $9 yoga mat from Kmart that I've cut up and sticky taped to the rear windows. We looked at getting some solar shades and things like that, but they're just so expensive that this was a bang for buck backyard job. That took me about 15 minutes to put on. It's actually lasted quite a long time, so I might keep them up there.
What do you reckon, Pickles? I actually think we would have been very sad if we had those solar guard things.
The expensive ones, yeah.
You like to scratch things.
So when we're traveling, the dogs stay in here. They usually have one bed in here and they're usually pretty secure. They have destroyed this one though. And we keep them on these leads that plug into the seat belts. Now they just stay on there, keeps them in the back, keeps them nice and secure. So as you can see, they're pretty chill. They just love being in the car. They just sleep mostly. Every now and then they look out, have a bit of a bark at someone, go back to sleep. So you can see the K-on cargo barrier in the back here, just stops anything coming across. And I've mounted a little fire extinguisher to here because I know that nothing will ever obstruct this with the dogs in the back. It's easy to get to and hopefully we never have to use it, but it's there for just in case. All right, let's talk about power. So everyone needs a little bit extra power when they're towing. So we'll start with the outside. We've got a Safari R-Max snorkel running into the Diesel Power Unlimited FFM airbox. Now that airbox retains the factory 200 series air filter. So we chose that one purely because they're easy to get in the middle of nowhere, they're relatively cheap and they're just available. So in addition to the airbox, we've also added a DPU intercooler. And on top of that, a PowerTorque Victoria twin fan kit. That just keeps all the air temps nice and low when we're towing. And now for the tune. When we had the GCM done, we had to get a tune alongside that. It was part of the requirements to upgrade this vehicle post-registration. So it does have a tune and we'll get into that when we start talking about the suspension. So to give the motor a little bit more breathability, we added a 4-inch stainless steel exhaust from GSL. But you can't have a tune and a car that looks this good and not make it sound good too. So 12 volt system wise, 200 series comes standard with 2 start batteries. We've isolated the 2 batteries. We've got a BC-DC charger in the middle. Got 1 start battery on this side and it basically runs the winch, the spotlights and starting the vehicle. Through the charger, also charges the lithium battery, which runs everything in the rear, the fridge, runs Anderson outlets, runs the cigarette lighters and USB points and that kind of thing in the back. So let's talk about this GVM GCM upgrade. When we first bought the car, we were under the impression that it already had the JMACX 4200 GVM and we automatically assumed that that had the increased GCM, but we later found out after we purchased the car, because it was done post-rego, it didn't have GCM yet, and we kind of freaked out, right? Yeah, it was a bit of a trying stage for us. Most vehicles, when they're bought brand new, they're under SSM laws, and that automatically gives you the GCM upgrade as well. However, this one being a 2018, I believe it was done around the 2021 mark by the previous owner. He put the full kit in with the Alpha shocks. It's got the 2.8 ton fabricated rear housing under the back of it to give that rear axle weight a big upgrade, and was advertised with a 3.5 ton tow capacity. So naturally we looked at that and went 4200 GVM and 3500 tow, you know, it's kind of GCM upgrade. So unfortunately it didn't have one. So then we spoke to JMACX about how we would go about getting one in Queensland. As most vehicles, you can only upgrade the GCM if it's done before its first registration.
So we did a bit of calling around, called Jace from JMACX. We were freaking out a little bit because we still had about 7 months till we had to leave, but the car was pretty much stock standard, and like I said, we picked the car because we were under the impression that it had the upgrade, so that was on us.
Yeah, definitely our fault there.
We started going back and forth whether to sell the car and try and get into something else. I mean, Tim would have loved an American truck, but budget-wise, it just, after buying the titanium.
Yeah, we had to keep our budget within reason, and we just wanted an affordable, reliable tow car that was safe and legal on the road. So, and
I think we really wanted, I mean, we were happy with the 200 series platform because of the 200 series because of the VDJ platform and coming from the 79 series.
Yeah, that's right. I love Land Cruisers. I've driven a heap of them. Being IFS auto and a lot comfier than a 79 straight out of the box, I think it was a no-brainer to go with the 200 series over the 300 series. We did test drive a few 300s, but we bought this one because of the JMACX kit. So after a lengthy few emails and phone calls with JMACX, we'd organised to drive down to the Sunshine Coast and to book in with them so they could go over the whole vehicle and do a certification on that to increase the GCM post-registration. So I think we're about vehicle number 8 or so that have been done in Queensland. The new laws had passed with the LS16 mod plate codes, which enabled us to get that GCM upgrade. And JMACX had just finished their testing with the dyno trailer so that they had all the proof, the paperwork to show the engineers and to certify the vehicles that they were doing.
Yeah, it wasn't as straightforward as we expected it to be, and not in a negative way though, but we had to have a tune done by Just Autos as well as the pre-assessment to make sure that, the pre-inspection, just to make sure that all the components were still installed as they were in 2021. You know, we hadn't gone and changed the shocks out or changed any parts.
And just to make sure the car was, you know, in roadworthy condition, the tyres were good, the brakes were good enough to stop, you know, whatever weight it's now capable of taking. And just the things like that, they'd run over everything and make sure the vehicle was good to go and that nothing had been changed. So we're just on the sunny coast today. We are dropping the 200 series at JMACX for the final piece of the puzzle. We are getting the GCM upgrade certified. So what that means for us is we've already got the 4200 GVM kit in the car with the big 2800 rear axle, so it's already plated for an upgraded GVM, but it still remains the standard GCM. So what this engineering does is basically give us nearly another 900 kilos of payload between the car and the caravan, our combined mass. So absolutely bloody stoked that we can do that. Just gives us a heap of extra wiggle room with, you know, whatever we want to do on our trip. So part of this engineering is they go through the whole car and they do a pre-inspection on it, and they check that all of the kit that is in there is the same as it was when it was installed. Being post-registration, you know, this car's got 80,000 Ks on it now. They just want to make sure that it is how they installed everything. And once that's done and they've checked it all off, made sure the car's in a fairly roadworthy state, then yeah, they book in the engineer. He comes out and he checks everything over. They do a few bits and pieces, like they'll do a Just Autos tune. They load a new tune into the car just to make sure that the car's capable of pulling the extra weight and handling it with a bit extra power. Make sure that the temps aren't going to get up there in the transmission. They put a lockup kit in the transmission. So you basically just push this little button here and the lockup kit will turn on and off. So I did have a lockup kit and a few bits and pieces in the vehicle already. So I've had to remove basically everything that I've done tune-wise or lockup kit-wise, and they'll load the Just Auto setup into it. They replace the BPR valve on the common rail setup and an EGR plate, and that's pretty much it. So it'll take them about a day to do the car and get it all engineered, but once it's done, we get a killer amount of extra payload. So absolutely bloody stoked with getting this done today. Well, I'm back here at JMACX today picking up the big 200 with this new 7.7 GCM. Just want to say a huge thanks to Oscar and the team at JMACX for hooking us up and helping us get this done so we can be legal on the road now. We're going to head off, hit the road, do some fishing while you get back to work.
Sounds good. Thanks for coming in, Tim.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
So yeah, we hauled down to Sunny Coast, met the team down there. They were fantastic. They had the car for about 4 or 5 hours the first day, and that was basically to do that pre-inspection and to make sure that everything was right. And then I had about 2 days between getting the car back from them and then taking it in when they'd booked in the certifier or the engineer to come and sign off on that paperwork. It was a very short window, and usually they wouldn't do it, but because we were traveling, I think they gave us a little bit of time there. You'd normally want to get it done a few weeks in advance at least, just in case there is any issues. That way you've got time to fix those up before the engineer's organised.
Yeah, so it gave us a peace of mind leaving Sunny Coast knowing that we were legal, not just for, you know, getting dusted on the road purposes, but also insurance and legalities and safety and all of that. So we left there with a 4.2 tonne GVM, which we already had, but a 3.5 tonne towing capacity. So we've got a 7.7 tonne GCM certified post registration, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not something that's been done in the previous years. It always had to be that SSM. So I'm glad we've got it done, and now it's one of the biggest ones you can get on a 200 series wagon.
Yeah, with JMACX anyway, and that was definitely the kit that we were after.
Yeah, I've used JMACX in a few vehicles and driven a lot of them through work, and I think they ride fantastic, and we just love the product.
So all in all though, pretty happy with the setup.
Yeah, it's been fantastic, and massive rear axle weights as well on this thing. They give you a lot of paperwork. We've got copies of the certificates and everything that we have had certified, just in case we ever need to show them to anyone around the country on our travels. And they put a new sticker in your door jamb, so all the information's there about your weights and your ratings, I guess. Like your rear axle is up to 2750, which is a massive increase over standard. So that's something that 200 series usually struggle with, is their rear axle weight. But it's very good to have that available to show anyone as well, just so we've got the evidence and the proof.
Yeah.
And part of doing this was the tune with Just Autos. It comes as a complete package. Now, while it was a little expensive to get this done, I think it was around the $6,000 mark to have this done. They also retune the vehicle. They give you a lockup kit as well for your transmission, just to make sure that all your temperatures stay in a good working range when you're pulling that little bit extra weight with a little more power.
You know what my favourite thing is about the tune?
What's that?
What da 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 da?
It's got a cool limiter. Britt loves a limiter.
That was a surprise. We didn't actually know that until like 3 months after it was installed or something.
Yeah.
Someone said, "Oh, give it a limmy bash," and yep. What?
Yeah, it's not something we've had before. Not something we use often, but it does sound pretty cool.
Yeah, I absolutely love the exhaust note. The GSL exhaust sounded sick as it is, but the note that the tune's given it too is unreal. It has like a little bit of a cam sound going on occasion. I think when it's loaded up a little bit with the van on, it sounds sick.
It does sound fantastic. Yeah, and it goes so much better. So much better. Fuel economy is great. We are sitting up there. We're around that 7.5 tonne mark, fully loaded, and we're averaging around that 25, 26 litre mark. And we, little tinny on the roof of the car and everything as well. We're pretty big, I guess, moving down the road. So it's pretty good. It's got plenty of power to overtake. I've never once thought it needed anything more than it's got. And the lockup kit really helps too. It just keeps that torque converter. I've got a gauge on the dash. It shows you the torque converter temperatures and the trans temperatures. And it just keeps everything really cool.
So would we do it again? Would we build another 200 series?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's very cool. That will surprise you, eh?
It did.
Yeah, I wasn't 100% at the start, but it's definitely grown on me. It's such a fun car. It's such a comfy car. The stereo's great in it, straight out of the box. The seats are comfy.
The aircon's mint.
The aircon works good. It works well with the dogs and the way that we've set the back of this up for us. And it just does everything that we want it to do.
Yeah, it's probably as big as you can go too without having to get a truck license and, the big American rigs. And whatever,
or going down the road of a chop. You can get bigger GVM GCMs on a 200 series if you chop them and go with the chassis extension and everything, but that's a whole heap of extra money. So we tried to limit the amount we spent on the car just to make it a bit more of a affordable tourer than a crazy out there full drive like you see on some of the walkthrough videos on YouTube.
So expense wise, I think we came in just under the 160 mark for the full build.
Yeah, that was everything. That included buying the car. It is a 2018. It had about 60,000 Ks on it when we picked it up, but it already had the JMACX kit installed. That was the reason that we bought it. It had the methods on it, and it had the Yakima rack.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was standard.
Yeah, it was a perfect platform for us to build on. So we've got a lot of different build videos. We've got a bit of a build series for this. So, you know, the front end, the rear end, the boat loading, all the performance, everything like that, the rear drawers. Some of them are an informative build. Others are kind of the why we've done everything in more detail. If you're keen to jump on those, the links will be below.
Yeah, have a look, check them out, especially the rear bar if you're thinking about getting a cruiser company rear bar or trying to install a bull bar or anything like that, or a winch yourself. Jump on, have a look, it's worth a watch.
If not, jump onto our channel anyway, because we've got some sick adventures coming up. We're in the Ningaloo at the moment and the weather is turning it on.
It's prime.
We'll see you in the next video. Yoo!